about the foundation you guys put down here in Casey's first year running or coaching the Pistons?
It's like a little bit bittersweet. The ending obviously is not what we wanted, but I think every year, got people always say I'm proud of this group, blah blah blah, but I really do feel like a sense of pride of this group for just the journey that we were on together, and wins and losses ultimately tell one story, but I think the way that the season played out and how we handled certain things and how we kind of grew as a team was special to me. And I've been fortunate to be on some great teams, and this year was a lot of fun. Like I really enjoyed this group of guys and enjoyed going to battle with these guys, and I think that's part of it. You build a culture where guys are genuinely happy for each other, they're rooting for each other, they're doing whatever it takes, and it's not necessarily something that might not be something that they want to do, but it's something that they know they need to do, and they do it, and they don't complain about it, and that's special.
To piggyback off that, how important is that aspect of like professional sports for you at this point in your career? Obviously, everybody wants to win, but to at least be in an environment where you enjoy being there and around being the guys, is that maybe more important now than it was earlier in your career?
Yeah, it's very important. I think early in your career, you just don't realize, what could happen or what might happen, or you sort of take teams and seasons for granted. And I've, like I said, I've been on some teams with a lot of talent and a lot of potential, a lot of expectations, and ultimately didn't reach those. But I don't take for granted, being around a group of guys that are the way we are, or are the way we were this season. It was, like I said, it was special, and I said that to the guys last night, and I hope like our rookies and Luke and guys like that realize that, because nothing's guaranteed, and you might not get a chance to be on a team that you genuinely enjoy being around everybody and rooting for everybody.
Obviously, the knee became a storyline toward the end of the season. What's the next step there? Is it rest? Is there any other procedure, anything that needs to be done on it?
I'll kind of address that, probably the rest of today and tomorrow, and have a game plan going from here. But yeah, it'll be something. Yeah.
Do you expect it to limit your beginning of your off season? I guess workout and preparation for next year.
I would say no. I mean, I'd take some time off. Anyway, so I don't. It's not like I don't anticipate not being able to get on the court till July or June. Whatever it is. I don't think it'll interfere with any off season workout plans that I have. But like I said, we'll kind of figure that out.
Dwayne gave the impression last night that you had fought through this for a while. You came home off the West Coast trip, played against against Orlando, and then the Portland game was 2 nights later. Had the knee been bothering you before that Orlando game, or can you just give us an idea of when it cropped up, maybe?
No, I think Orlando was other than just regular, game 70 or whatever it was, dealing with the regular wear and tear of the regular season. But Orlando is kind of when it really started.
You had, well, as long as you've been in the league, Dwayne has been coaching on the other conference most of that time, so you'd only see Toronto twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've had a full season under him, what did you come to know about him that maybe you didn't know from afar?
I felt like I had a good idea of Coach Casey. Coach Casey was up for the Clippers job after my first season. I wasn't playing, so before my second rookie season. He was up for the job, and I was really pulling for him to get the job at the time. He don't have much pull as a rookie, but and we ultimately went with Vinny. But gathering information about him then, and then gathering information not necessarily gathering information, but just talking to people. To last summer, you hear the same thing, and that's I think that's a really positive thing. Consistency and one thing that everybody talks about with Coach Casey is the type of person he is. Great guy, very disciplined, and cares about his players. And I saw that through the course of the season. Ups and downs, and the way things ended in Toronto for him, was unfortunate. But I mean, we are very, very lucky to have a coach like him, and have a coach who stands for and represents the things he does. He was great this season, and I've really enjoyed playing for him and his staff. He put together really good staff.
Being at an all-NBA level now, and you do have a little bit more pull with this ownership and front office group. Do you have ideas that you might pass along and say this is what you see from your perspective, or ways that you might be able to improve, or they might be able to improve this year?
As a player, like I remember kind of talking to some vets early on, and I play. I'm not here to make decisions in the front office. Ed and all those guys, they do a really good job. In the short time that I've known them as well, they have plans. They have an idea. They have a direction. It might not happen overnight because of the situation, but they have a great grasp on that. If they ask my opinion, I'll of course give my honest opinion. But I've never really been the type of player to go in and make demands because.
Well, not demands, but what you
right.
At.
Just because sometimes as players, and you see from coaches too, we're all about winning right now, which is obviously very important, but not at the expense of the next year or however that may be.
But just in the sense that they're building this whole thing around the timeline of your contract, that it seems like there's some give and take, and they want to see what types of things you see that the roster needs, or the construction, or maybe offensive things, or anything
Sure.
like that. That there's that relationship there with it being around your contract. Yeah,
and I think they, like I said, I think they have a good grasp on that. They're, like I said, there is a plan. They from day one, they've set a plan in motion, and sometimes you have to tweak and you have to change things, and things happen. But I fully trust their leadership and their direction.
Blake, one of the things that Stan Van Gundy and other coaches have told me in the past, players know, like they know you can't fool them. They know when they're being coached well. They understand all this stuff. And you mentioned the first Toronto game as the moment that kind of crystallized your relationship with Casey. Walk us through that. What was so important, or how he responded, or how he was comporting himself going into that game? Obviously, when you knew his emotions had to be rumbling through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I from my early conversations, you can tell the type of coach that Coach Casey was. But to me, there's always a point in the season when a coach goes one way or the other with the team. And I don't know that Toronto was it for everybody, but I guarantee you there was probably a point throughout the season for everybody that happened. And for me, one of those moments, like I said, was Toronto. I mean, he came in, he said the right things, and his approach is not that, like, it's hard, man. And being in this position this season, going back to a place, it's hard not to let your emotions affect you. Like, you can say all the right things, but it's hard because of how much you care and relationships and all that. And he didn't let that affect him. Even when we were down 20 at halftime, or whatever we were down at halftime, came in. We talked about the right things. And I just remember thinking back after that, that he handled that situation so well. That's a moment where you gain more respect for somebody.
Did it help you? I'm sorry, did it help you when you went back to LA later on in the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of had this like thing. It was kind of a joke, but like the revenge games, you know, going back and playing your old teams. You know, we played Golden State the first time we beat them, and Toronto. We went back to Memphis. You know, Jim Scholler, our trainer. So we had like this whole like running joke anywhere from everybody. You know, what I mean? It could be whoever it was. You know, like an intern. But the revenge game was a thing. So yeah, I mean it's we seem to really like respond well. And guys, I know we all wanted to play, you know, that way for Coach Casey going back to Toronto, and I felt that from guys when we went back to the Clippers, and you know that means something. That means something to you.
Individually, can you put into context how satisfying this season was for you? Just to 75 games. The evolution of your game, even though it's dated back to last year, it seemed like it kind of took off nationally to lead a team into the playoffs. I know you had goals of proving people wrong this season. Do you feel like you walk away happy knowing that what you've done and the progression you've made as a player?
You walk away. I don't know. Happy is like my personal emotion, but. Proud, I think, is of this team and of everything. I mean, you know, for several years, I heard a lot of negativity, and didn't necessarily believe it or buy into it or anything like that. But I don't care what you do or who you are or how resilient you are as a person. It wears on you and it affects you, and you know, yeah, this year has kind of helped me, you know, quiet that down for myself, you know, and I always believe in myself, but it's always nice to, you know, come out and put together a season or put together a stretch of, you know, the things you've been working on and the things that you've been told you couldn't do for a long time. So, yeah, this season it's the foundation, you know.
When last season ended, when we were here on the day after, Stan Van Gundy said that he expected you, with that comfort level now after having been here a few months, would become the leader. And I know maybe that wasn't with the Clippers, with some of the personalities there, with Chris Paul around. Maybe you were never the unquestioned leader of that team. Did you? Going back to Oklahoma, you were so young, I don't know that you would have been there either. Did you learn anything about yourself this year, and was it personally satisfying to be able to kind of settle into that role where your leadership was accepted and you embraced it?
Yeah, I think, you know, everybody has their own style of leadership, and I remember, you know, early on in my career, as I was trying to establish myself and find my way as a leader, I remember having a conversation with Tim Duncan in the summer. I can't remember exactly what summer it was, but one thing that he said that stuck out to me was like, you know, it doesn't necessarily. Long story short, it doesn't necessarily matter, you know, how you do it. You don't have to be the guy that beats your chest or yells the loudest or talks the most in the huddle. Being a leader is, at the end of the game, that guy that everybody looks at and like, yeah, we're following that guy. You know, and that's always stuck with me because I'm not like the most like talkative person. I don't, you know, have like a way with words like some guys do. But knowing and hearing those words then, and then, you know, trying to do that and trying to find my own way, and then now kind of being able to do that and feel like you're being somewhat effective is a little bit more rewarding, for sure.
About the read and react workouts that you did last summer, do you anticipate basically just more of the same, or is there something else that you think can be layered onto that too?
Yeah, you know, I'll do a similar setup this summer, tweaking some stuff. You know, I shot I don't know how many threes off the dribble this year. Didn't necessarily anticipate shooting that many, so I'll work a lot, you know, ball handling in the pick and roll, ball handling, you know, taking care of the ball in different situations will be big for me this summer, continuing to work on my shot, And then, yeah, a lot of read and react stuff, you know, because that's, you know, how we play. It's really nice going into this offseason knowing our offense, knowing our coaches, knowing our players a little bit better. I just feel a lot more comfortable. I feel like I can kind of fine-tune some of the stuff to you know, improve on, you know, all the areas that I need to improve on.